Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna talk about some of the best units of the Chaos Dwarfs roster that, let's be honest, no one ever talk about. So don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my video, and let's begin. The truth is that the Regiment and Renowns are units that are often ignored by the community, to the point that when people decide whether to buy a DLC or not, they don't take them into consideration, even if sometimes they are so unique that they may count as official units, and the Regiment and Renowns of the Chaos Dwarfs roster are a good example of that. Let's start with the Blazing Beards of Berserk, a unit of Chaos Dwarf warriors a little more fire related, we can say. They don't have better stats than the generic Chaos Dwarfs, but they have the fire effect, that it can be particularly helpful against particular faction or against specific monsters with regeneration ability. Then they have also the charge defense against everything. So not only against the large units like cavalry and monsters, but even also some infantry with very good charge, like the Rotmongers for example. Then they have the Frenzy, that is a very good ability because they will see an increase in their stats, like a plus 10 in melee attack, a plus 10% in the charge bonus and weapon damage, and they will be also immune to psychology, so you don't have to care about monster causing terror or fear to them. But the best attribute is their additional missile attack. It's like a bomb or a grenade, exactly like the Miners of Dwarfs or the Infernal Ironsworn that are Chaos Dwarfs but 2-tier superior. Now this ammunition, they have just 2 ammunition, but you can believe me, with a very short range, yes, but you can believe me that it's very powerful. You will need just this couple of ammunition to destroy 1 or 2 units of your enemy army, and the missile strength, it's oh my god, it's so dangerous, so powerful. You have just to, distract the enemy or shield or bait the enemy with a lord, a hero, and they will bring havoc to the battlefield. They are a very nice Regiment and Renowns that offer variety compared to the normal Chaos Dwarfs, and the aesthetic is just fabulous. Now let's talk about the Immortals, the Regiment and Renown unit of the Infernal Ironsworn, that are actually truly unique compared to their generic version. First, they lose their shield and a little of melee defense to get more attack offensive attributes, so they will have more melee attack, more weapon strength, and the anti-infantry bonus, so they will be better at dealing with infantry. That is not that common in the Chaos Dwarf infantry. And then they have, I think, more than the double of the charge bonus, so they are perfect at with offensive and attack strategies if you want to play in a different way than Chaos Dwarf normally play. Then they have the Unyielding Assault, so basically their melee attack will never be reduced during the battle, and they have the expert charge defense that I mean, for a unit with dual access is definitely not common. And at the end they have the Undying Will, that basically when the hit points are greater than 75%, the unit cannot die and they will recover the vigor faster than the other units. This is an amazing Regiment and Renowns because first, as I said, is completely unique, is different from anything else in this roster, and then because it is what a Regiment and Renowns should represent, so a very elite infantry, but special in some way. Now it's the turn of the Granite Guard, probably one of my favorite units in this roster, because it's like to get an Infernal Guard, but instead of the Fire Glaive, they will get access to the Blunderbusses, that, as you know, are this handgun with a short range but a lot of missile strength. They will have the suppressed fire, so they will reduce the speed of the enemy and you will have a longer time to deal damage to them, and the normal Blunderbusses don't have that. Then they will have a better missile strength than the normal Blunderbusses, and better melee stats than the Infernal Guard with Fire Glaives. They will have the charge defense versus large, so they will be quite protected by, you know, cavalry or monsters charging, and they will have the dig in, that is basically an ability that increases their stats, melee resistance, when they will, you know, they will stand still for more than 25 seconds. So imagine a blunderbuss that their only weakness is that the range is very short. It will be increased by the 40% with even more missile strength. That is one of the biggest amongst the missile infantry in this game, and yeah, you just have a very unique and powerful units, very tough, that doesn't need any help, any babysitting, and still has one of the missile attack one of the best missile attack for a missile infantry in the game. So I'm quite in love, and in every Chaos Dwarf campaign I'm looking forward to recruit and to build an entire army around them. Now let's talk about the Oglah Khan's Wolfboyz. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And I mean, basically in this roster, in the Chaos Dwarf roster, you have access to the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with the spear and shield, and the Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with the bows. This unit is basically the fusion of them and better at the stats than any of them. So you will have better melee stats, better missile stats, and more armor and leadership. So they're just, you know, the elite Wolfboyz. Even if, I mean, compared to all the other units, they are probably quite weak. They're very funny because you have a missile harassing fast unit that at the same time is a little more reliable on melee, and they have a very special ability that it's called the Pelt of Wolfang, that reduces the speed of 75%, so almost all the speed of the enemy that are routing. So if during the battle you see probably a strong unit that I mean, luckily in that moment he's routing, so he's fleeing away, you can chase them down and they will have no way to escape, because with the speed reduced to 75 you're just frozen. Okay, and then they have all the attributes of the Hobgoblin Riders, so the Vanguard deployment, the fires whilst moving, and this ability that it's called the Cowardly Despoilers, so that when they are attacking at the rear or the flank of the enemy, they will have an increased weapon strength. They're a very funny unit, and I mean, as I say, the Regiment and Renown are supposed to be the most elite units, and they are definitely the most elite Hobgoblins in the game, even if, as I say, compared to other units, they are still a little weak. Now it's time of the Hashut's Dark Ravagers, the Regiment and Renown units of the Bull Centaur Renders. As you know, the Bull Centaur Renders are already one of the strongest monstrous cavalry in the game. They have a lot of strength, a lot of charge, but this unit is even better. First, because they are more ethereal, because I mean, in this game, if you are blue, apparently you have more physical resistance, so you have to care less about the physical damage by all the other units. And then they don't have better stats than the dual axis Bull Centaur Renders version, but they will have a couple of abilities, like the Guardian. So when you have to keep them closer to a lord and the hero, because they will give to them an increased physical resistance of 15%. That, I mean, it can be quite useful, but of course you have to be aware of the distance that is very short. And then you will have the Revealing Fear, that is an ability that increases your charge bonus, melee attack and leadership when they will be lowering with the lower enemies with the lower leadership all around. So even in this case, be careful of the distance, but they can be quite more increase in their value if they are close to wavering enemies. And then they will have this additional missile attack with not that many ammunition and a short range, but with a lot of missile strength. They will throw these throwing axes, these hatchets with they are ammo piercing. They are very a lot. They have a lot of damage, 146 only as the base, and then the shield breaker attribute. So basically they don't care about enemies with shields. It's like a goblin ewer, of course not that strong, but more mobile. And they are very versatile. You can decide if charge the enemy first, and then when they are routing to throw at them the axis, or you can decide to throw the axis at the enemy and then charge them. I mean, they're very versatile. You can do whatever you want, and even in this case they offer a quite unique gameplay to the roster, because you have a missile cavalry, but I mean, not like the Hobgoblin Riders. In this case, it can be damaging. The last unit we're gonna talk about is the Demon Tongue, the Iron Demon Regiment Renown, that honestly for me is far better than the generic version. First, because the Iron Demon, in my opinion, is a little probably overrated unit. The range is very short and the damage is not that strong to justify that. Sometimes it's not that accurate, it misses the target many times, and then yeah, it can be useful if you find a way to flank the enemy and hit directly the side, but otherwise they are not that useful in my opinion. In the, I mean, the missile attack, of course, then the charge, it's very strong. The Demon Tongue has 2300 more of damage in the missile strength, so it's like I cannot even count it, like 8 times the strength of a normal Iron Demon. The range is a little shorter, but not that much. I mean, between 80 and 120, honestly, it's not a huge difference. And then they have a lot of ammunition with the flaming effect. They have the burnt effect that basically reduce the leadership of the enemy. They are just so strong. They're like an Iron Demon, but with an actually very powerful missile attack. They will throw these flames that will annihilate every unit that they see, they will find in their way, and you can still use it in the melee. So send them charge the enemy with their ability that increase the mass and the speed, and then, you know, again turn against the enemy and flame them again. I mean, it's just a cycle like that, and I love to use it. And in the campaign you have access to the version even with the head with the Dreadquake mortar attached, so it just I mean, it's just so crazy to be in the game, honestly. Thank you for following me, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's see very soon.